Welcome and good morning to Mike Ferry TV. We are recording today from a very unusual spot from Genoa, Italy. Sabrina and I are doing a 4-day action workshop for about 350 great Italian real estate agents in Genoa. They came from all over northern Italy to be with us for this program. It's very exciting. The reason I wanted to record this program for you today from here was I wanted to talk to you about what we discussed with them today. We spent a good portion of the day talking about the importance, and you already know this, of using canned or what we would call scripted or structured presentations each day when you're working with your buyers and sellers. And it's interesting because whenever I talk about these to an American audience, Canadian audience, Italian audience, French audience, etc., I always get the same response. And the first response is, no, Mike, I'm not going to use a canned presentation. It's not who I am. Well, I always say, well, who are you? You know, what are you thinking about by saying that? Or, Mike, I don't use canned presentations because I don't like them being used on me, so I don't use them on other people myself. Or I hear, Mike, it's not me, it's not natural. I need to use my words, my gestures, etc. Well, what I want you to think about is this, and you've heard me say this time and time again. Every one of us uses canned presentations virtually all the time. We use them every day. In our day-to-day life, in our business, hopefully on your listing and showing presentations. By canned presentations, I want you to think about this. Every phase of what you do in your day-to-day life, personal life or business, you're doing it in the form of a routine, meaning you do the same thing the same way every time. From driving to work, you pull out of your garage, you always park your car in a certain place, you back out a certain way, you drive to work a certain way. It's a canned presentation. It's a routine. You get up in the morning and you put your tie on and you tie it a certain way every time to make it look the same way every single time. If you're a lady, you put your makeup on the same way every day. You don't one day decide to put maybe today put my lipstick up here just for a change of pace. If you're cooking a meal, use a recipe book. You're following a routine on how to make that meal the best you can make it for yourself and your family. See, the truth is, we use canned presentations all day long, every day. So now we go into real estate, and now we're professional salespeople, and I say to you, we got to use the canned presentation, and you want to argue, you want to fight, for whatever reason, you want to defend the fact that you're doing it better than what we're going to suggest. Now, my question, I want you to think about this. Are you really as productive as you want to be? As we look at 2015, it's staring us right in the eye today, and we only have a couple months left in 2014. Are you really planning to have the same production next year you had this year? Are you planning to have the same income next year as this year? Are you planning to do the same thing again? And for a lot of you, you've done the same thing year after year after year, which means you're using a canned presentation, a routine. You're just not willing to admit what you're doing. So what I want you to think about is, how do we change that? How do we change it so we take the types of words, dialogues, suggestions we have, implement them into your own life, make them part of who you are? And the truth is, the answer is very simple. We have to learn to practice virtually every day as much as we can, because when you take the words we give and you practice and make them part of who you are, then the words become yours, not Mike Ferry's. But we also have to understand, guys and gals, and this is so important, we're salespeople. And salespeople follow a plan. They follow a script. Like a professional singer, actor, dancer, they've got a plan all mapped out. School teachers have a work plan for the entire semester, sometimes the entire year, what they're going to be teaching the students virtually every step of the way. Everybody does this except for us in real estate. Now, let's be honest. We're the lowest paid, with the most turnover, and the lowest per person productivity of any industry in North America today. We should be the highest paid because we're handling an asset for a buyer or seller, which in most cases is our biggest asset. But why do we not succeed at the level we want? Because we don't accept or want to learn canned presentations. Remember the axiom, knowledge equals confidence, ignorance equals fear. It's as old as dirt. I've been talking about that axiom for probably 40 years or more. But the truth is, knowledge does equal confidence, and ignorance does equal fear, And the knowledge comes from knowing what to say every step of the way with your seller. See, it comes down to one thing. If I know what to say, I'm probably going to repeat it time and time again to get the same results. If I don't know what to say, I'm helter-skelter, get different results, and never succeed at the level I want. So, of course, naturally today, one of the agents asked me at the break, well, how do you expect me to learn all these scripts? And I referred him back to the early 1970s when I was using for myself, and I still use today, little trigger cards. And some of you remember the trigger cards. All they were is I took all the scripts, all the dialogues that I wanted to learn and use for myself, put them on a 5x8 card, printed them in block letters, and then I would have a trigger card for a for sale by owner, for an expired listing, pre-qualifying a seller, have a trigger card to answer all the objections they give me on a listing presentation, have the pre-qualifying questions for the seller on the trigger card, have the listing presentation presented on the trigger cards, and then I could walk into a house and say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want you to look here. These are very important questions I need to ask you. Do you mind if I ask them now? And they're going to say yes every time. Go ahead. And then you're just going to read the questions. So I'm not asking you, nor I would ask all of our Italian friends, to memorize hundreds and hundreds of scripts. But I will tell you, and you know this for a fact, if you are well scripted, you get a better response. The lack of scripts, the lack of response, lack of production, lack of income. The higher the level of strips, the higher the quality of your strips, the more you practice them, make a part of who you are, the faster you become the person you want to become. So give a lot of thought as you look at 2015 to using a canned presentation. Give a lot of thought to perfecting it. Give a lot of thought to making yourself a stronger, more productive real estate agent. I know you can do it. You know you can do it. Let's get it done. Talk to you next week from London, England.